guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Veronica. Thank you so much for clicking the link to watch today's video. Without further ado, let's get started with today's video. So for today's video, I'm going to be talking to you about being a minority in the military. These thoughts and opinions are solely my own. They do not represent the Department of Defense, the United States Air Force, or anything. This is solely my experiences and opinions. Disclaimer. First, let's address me being absent for like every other week. So you guys know that I usually film and upload videos 1 to 2 times a week. Usually I used to do twice a week and I was doing so good, and then I dropped back down to 1 just because my schedule has been kind of crazy. But what happens is I will film bulk pre-record videos, so I'll film stuff every weekend, sometimes occasionally a weekday if I really have to get something out there. And then what I will do is I will spread them out throughout the month, but I'm usually filming every single weekend. So on top of that, I'm already working a full-time job. I am in the military. If you don't know, I'm a United States Air Force officer. I'm in Medical Service Corps officer. So basically I'm a healthcare administrator in the medical group. So long story short, I am very busy, and I will admit my priorities have not been in the right place. I've been killing it at work, which has afforded me some great opportunities. However, I have 2 priorities that I need to focus on, and work is gonna have to take a back seat. So I get asked this question fairly a lot. For everyone who's messaged me about military videos and military questions, I will get back to you guys ASAP. What is it like being a minority in the military? So for my experience from when I first got here, you know, predominantly Caucasian base, but basically I have definitely experienced racism and also discrimination because of my gender in the military. Yeah, I know it's sad, but I think the first thought that I want to iterate to you guys is, although we're all serving and, you know, the military is put on this pedestal, you have to remember that every day Johns and Henrys and Veronicas and Jessicas are joining the military. Technically, yes, the military has a zero tolerance policy. If they find out you're doing racial things or being racist and like discriminatory, especially outward, you will be removed. So that's a great thing. However, there are a lot of people who keep it inward, and they're smart enough not to, you know, no one's going to sit there, well, they're not going to be bold enough to call me any type of racial slurs or anything to my face, because they know they'll basically end their career. So when I first got here, I definitely experienced some racism and some discrimination towards my gender, but I'm going to focus on the racism first. So essentially, for me, that stuff I'm kind of used to. I know that sounds crazy, but I'm a military brat. I grew up half in Newport News, Virginia, which is bad news, like predominantly black, HBCUs, you know, DC is close by. Like there's so much like forward thinking there, but also it's kind of like it's heavily predominantly black, so I never noticed my skin color. Then I moved to Kansas because my dad got stationed there before he retired, and that was predominantly white. So that was the first time I realized that I was dark skinned and that it was like a taboo thing, because growing up around all black people in Newport News, no one ever talked really about color. I didn't experience colorism, which is basically like the segregation of different colors from light to dark within the black community. Like I never noticed that I was black. Then obviously in Kansas, definitely experienced some racism. So I was like, check, check, check. But it made me so much stronger, and I know how to survive and adapt in my environment, which is really critical when you are working in the real world. So being stationed at Malmstrom, I never heard of this place. Got here, I was like, okay, cool. I experienced it within my first several months of being here. There's even times where I'm walking around, because I am an officer, and I have experienced young white males purposely not salute me. Now, there's two things that I can conclude. Either they're not saluting me because I'm a woman, or because I'm black, or a combination of both, or maybe they just don't care, which is, it's not allowed. But there has been more times than not, and I've even experienced it like the past couple of weeks. There's gentlemen who blatantly looked me in my face and did not salute me, and we all have to salute someone. It's literally 2 seconds up, 2 seconds down. And he blatantly looked at me and did not salute me, and I had to correct him, which was unfortunate. And it's just like, I have seen it so many times where because I am a black woman, I'm treated differently, because I'll be walking with my male peers who are also officers and they'll pop that hand up real quick. But with me, by myself, I'm like, dude, I'm so nice. So anytime I experience racism or discrimination because of my gender in the military, I mean, there's only so much you can do. You can definitely tell your supervisor, you can talk to EO. There's so many avenues because it is a zero tolerance policy. However, a lot of times too, I run into people, and not to give these people the benefit of the doubt, but there are actually genuinely people who grew up saying the N-word, who grew up in small white towns, never seen a black person, which to me, it's kind of like you're lying, because if you watch sports, there's black people everywhere in sports, especially football and basketball. So why is it okay for you to cheer for LeBron James, but me, Veronica, you're disrespecting? I don't get that logic. So I don't really buy into the whole I've never seen black people before. I do buy into, hey, I've never been around black people before, so this is all new to me. But you know, I get stares all the time by normal people at this base, by people who are from Montana. It's just crazy. But I try not to let my skin color define who I am, but it is who I am at the same time. So I try not to walk around with a chip on my shoulder that every white person hates me, because I know that's not true. There are some people who genuinely just need education because they're just simply ignorant, or they just really truly don't know. I've had people tell me that African Americans always have weave in their hair, which I was like, honey boo boo, no, you do not say that. I've had people like not only just like blatantly disrespect what I say, but they undermine me, and I know it and I confirm it, because then someone who will be the opposite gender, the opposite race, black to white, will say the exact same thing, and then it's like, your word is gold. Even in meetings, I feel like sometimes I have to speak up and speak louder than everyone just for people to actually understand what I'm saying. And it's crazy because even just being a woman in a predominantly male career field, it's like you have to work 10 times harder. Not only do I have to work 10 times harder being a woman, I have to work 20 times harder being an African American. And it's like, oh, it doesn't matter what color you are, but just looking at demographics, just looking at the culture and talking to other young black airmen who feel like they're not represented at this, you know, in certain areas, it's hard because they want to see me being in as an officer, me being at a high job role, me being somewhere in a meeting where I'm a face. It helps other people who identify with me. I cannot tell you how many times that, and if you're not a minority, this is still good for you to watch, because you're going to be supervising a minority. And I think it's important to understand the culture, get to know the airmen. There are some things that when it comes to black people especially, we have this kind of language without even saying a word. As soon as I walk into a room, sometimes it doesn't bother me, but sometimes it does bother me where it's like, I don't see any black person in this room. And I shouldn't feel like that. I know sometimes that's just, you know, the mentality that we as black people have to overcome as well. However, it gets exhausting when you're never seeing someone who looks like you. It gets exhausting when you have to work 20 times harder just to even match the level of your peers, when the peer who isn't even doing as good of a job as you is given so many like slaps on the wrist, or yeah, you're still great, you know what I mean? Like, it's crazy because I feel like I work so hard for so many things. That's probably why I'm so exhausted all the time. It's just like mentally at work in the military, I'm also playing the game. And they call it the game because it's like there's certain things you have to do to be politically correct, and honestly it's really not that hard. Just be a nice person and do your job, but there's also that little bit of extra that you kind of need to do to make sure you're staying above, you know, you're staying on the minds of your commanders, you're doing a good job, you're given opportunities, and I've kicked butt at those. I've worked my butt off, but at the same time, I've also sacrificed so much. But being a minority is kind of difficult in a predominantly majority world, and the Air Force is that. However, you know, there are so many opportunities when you go to bigger bases like Maxwell and DC, Andrews. You will see more higher up predominantly, or you will see more higher ranking African Americans. But when you're working in the normal day-to-day force, you will experience racism. You will probably experience discrimination. And don't let that deter you or mess you up. There are times where I don't cry at work. I go home, I cry on my pillow. Sometimes I vent to Lewis, but most of the time I leave it there. Like, if I had a rough day, I'll vent for like 10 minutes and then that's it. But I'm not gonna let people who are awful and nasty see me sweat. And we're not perfect. Sometimes we do things, sometimes we say things, sometimes we just have to paint that smile on our face even though we want to slap people. But violence is not the answer. Matching ignorance with ignorance is not the answer. Being snooty is not always the answer. Sometimes you do have to educate. And if that person continues to discriminate or be racist and stuff, then hey, you got to take it to the next level. And also, if you are not a minority but you supervise a minority, it is so important to get to know your people, the people you work with, because there are certain cultural traits that even just simply recognizing that, hey, you switch your hair up a lot. Can you explain that to me? Yeah, you know, black people, especially black women, we were raised to, our hair is crown of glory, and we switch it up a lot because our hair is so fragile and it's prone to breakage. So it's just easier and funner to constantly switch up our hairstyles, but keeping our hands out of it. Stuff like that. Me explaining that to someone and then they're like, oh, okay, so I have an airman and she loves to express herself, but her hair is kind of frizzy. And someone was teasing her and what should I do? First of all, find someone who's African American that you have a rapport with and have them talk to her if you don't feel comfortable. You know what I mean? There's so many different things that you need to know when you're supervising a minority, because certain things that you say can be very culturally sensitive to someone who is a minority. And it's not just about black people, it's Latino, Latina, Asian, all the different ethnicities that there are. But yeah, so my experiences, I've definitely experienced them. I'm not going to really go into how they were individually or anything like that, just because I don't want to out people, and my goal is never to drag things, especially work things. But it's just about being aware. So if you are black or any type of minority and you're like, man, I'm worried about going into the military, don't let that stop you. There will always be stupid, dumb, ignorant people everywhere. All you can do is keep doing what you do best, hold your head up high, report them, and, you know, press on. And don't feel like you're being a snitch. There are certain levels where I have not reported people at all. And then one time I was just sharing, like, can you believe someone said this comment to me? And someone was like, hey, I'm going to go ahead and let your commander know, because that type of behavior is zero tolerance. You should not ever be, you know, subjected to that. And I was like, oh, it's no big deal. And it's like, yeah, but if you don't report it, then the next person who is treated like that and they try to say something or try to handle it, maybe they don't get the justice that they deserve, and you could have stopped it at your level. And then I thought about it like, oh, okay, so sometimes it's not always about, okay, let me just give that person a free pass, I don't really care. Sometimes you're taking care of the next person to make sure that that same person isn't subjected to blatant racism or discrimination or ignorant comments that should not have been said. Long story short, I'm unapologetically Black. I have no problem talking about my hair, my weaves, anything at work. I'm proud to be Black. I'm proud that I'm in the Air Force. I'm proud to be an officer, and I do not apologize for it. If people have a problem with me, then you know, that's on them. There are always things that I could do better as a leader. I'm still learning. I'm young in my Air Force career, but I don't apologize for the color of my skin. And hopefully that answers your questions about being a minority in the Air Force. It's just like working at any other job. You're gonna experience your highs and your lows, but overall, I don't let that stop me ever. And one day, who knows, it's a small enough Air Force that the people who try to be rude to you, mean to you, who are racist or say ignorant comments or discriminatory will be working underneath you. And then they'll really be kissing up to you. So I'm always excited for that. Anyways, so I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this video up because I told you guys it's not gonna be too long. Thank you guys so much for rocking with me. We're so close to hitting 5K. I'm so excited with my small little, I don't know what to call you guys. Anyways, so don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Go ahead and give this video a thumbs up so you can see more from me. Don't forget to follow me on all my social media, which is at Ronnie Luke. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our couples channel, Ron and Lou coming at you. It's not Ron and Lou coming at you, it's Ron and Lou, but we're coming at you soon. And we got some videos that we're gonna film. I'm excited because I'm filming videos with Luis all weekend, so you guys will be seeing stuff very soon. Thank you guys for your patience, and I love you guys so much, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.